For problem 1, create a graph for a Ferris wheel that has a diameter of 225 feet and is 5 feet above the ground. To do this, create a marked scatter plot noting what height the circle is at in 30-degree increments. Label the graph with the rotations and the height, rotations being on the x-axis and height being on the y-axis. Add 5 feet to the height because the Ferris wheel is 5 feet above the ground. For problem 2, we use the same graph and show how it relates to the situation. The graph shows that as the Ferris wheel rises, so the height increases, and as the Ferris wheel decreases, the height also decreases. Problem 3 gives us a scenario of two different Ferris wheels, one with 75 feet radius and the other with a 30 feet radius. They ask us to find which of the graphs corresponds with the 75 feet height and co-height function and which corresponds with the 30 feet height and co-height function. This problem may seem difficult, but it's actually really simple. The maximum height corresponds to the radius. So all you have to do is find the highest point in the graphs to find which corresponds with a 75 feet radius and a 30 feet radius. For A, we see that the highest point is 75 and 75, or negative 75, sorry, which means that it corresponds to the height function of the 75-foot radius. For B, we see that the highest point is 30, 30, and 30, which means that it corresponds to the 30 feet co-height function. For C, we can see that the highest points are also 30, which means that it corresponds to the 30 feet height function. And for D, we see that the highest points are also 75, and I circled them, which means that it corresponds to the 75 feet co-height function. Here's the final answers for problem 3. So the 70-foot radius height function corresponds to graph A, and the 70-foot radius co-height function corresponds to graph D. I accidentally wrote B on the co-height function for the 75 feet radius. The wheel with the 30 feet radius height function corresponds to graph C, and the 30-foot radius co-height function corresponds to graph B.